Hello everyone and welcome to the Press Pass, where we get you caught up on everything you need to know in the world of Butler sports. I'm Chris Brown.
And I'm Drew Favica. This week we are focusing on the men's and women's soccer teams.
We'll kick things off with the women's team, who faced DePaul on Sunday in our game of the week. Entering Sunday, the Bulldogs had not lost a game at the Selleck Bowl since October 2016, when they fell to, that's right, DePaul. The team was looking to build upon what's been a highly successful season thus far, and they came out on top thanks to some late-game heroics. Let's take a look at how it all played out. The Butler women's soccer team entered play on Sunday looking to improve upon a 3-1-1 conference record. The match didn't get off to the start the Bulldogs wanted, with Blue Demons forward Franny Cerny heading in across to give DePaul a lead late in the first half.
On the goal line, and it's put in off a head. A great play, and it's Franny Cerny.
The Bulldogs responded not long into the second half, though, with senior forward Hallie Stelbaski netting the equalizer on a penalty kick after getting tripped up in the box.
Stelbaski scores for the Bulldogs, and it's 1-1.
The game remained knotted up at 1 until the 88th minute, when freshman forward Anya Savage found freshman midfielder Katie Soderstrom on the move up the field.
Who has Hallie Stelbaski streaking along the right side in the box. And it's a goal. Bulldogs goal. They lead 2-1.
The Bulldogs remained on top and took the 2-1 victory, bringing their home record this year to 7-0 and their conference mark to 10-4-1. It was another big win for the Bulldogs, who are now 4-1-1 in Big East play and on track for a trip to the NCAA tournament for the second straight season. But Drew, let's break this down a little bit more. What was your big takeaway from the game?
Well, in the first half, they seemed to not move the ball around as much. It was more stagnant. But when they started to move the ball around more in the midfield, that's when they got those opportunities downfield, and that led to those 2 goals by Katie Soderstrom and Hallie Stelbaski.
Absolutely, Drew. Thank you. And we'll turn now to our own Press Pass reporter, Colin Perry, who talked with women's soccer forward Anya Savage in this week's edition of Driving with Dogs.
Colin Perry, Riding with Dogs segment coming up with Anya Savage just here in a few moments, as we'll sit down with the freshman women's soccer star who's already seen plenty of action in her first year here at Butler.
So, I guess the first thing is, how many tickets have you gotten already from BUPD?
5.
5 tickets.
5 tickets.
And they're all, and it's what?
Non-registration.
Non-registration.
And I went to go register, and they wouldn't let me.
Because they're already used up.
Yep. I said, that's not my problem.
That's
So upset.
alright. So, obviously, freshman year soccer, I'm not going to spend too much time on soccer, but I guess what do you expect coming here and already becoming a star?
I did not expect to be scoring so much off the bat. I expected to be, I was freaking out. I had butterflies 5 hours away from home. It's not too far, but still. I was nervous that I wasn't going to be anything special, especially as a freshman. But once the first game came around and I had my first goal, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And like my whole team coming up and hugging me, like I felt like somebody on the team. It felt important. So
Right.
yeah.
And you're from Macomb, Michigan, which is, I guess, where on the hand? Show us where on the hand that is.
All right, it's like right there.
Okay, so it's close to Detroit then. Detroit
Yeah, like
area.
30 minutes away from Detroit.
Okay,
Not bad.
cool. So suburb Detroit, but U.S. Women's National Team, obviously huge,
Yeah.
hugely
Qualified,
successful.
yeah.
How is that what made you want to play soccer, or is there another story?
Oh, there's another story now. My dad is a big sports person, and he's been playing. He played soccer when he was younger, so I've tried everything. I've tried dance, I've tried gymnastics, I've tried volleyball. I love volleyball, but in the end, my dad was like, "No, we're sticking to soccer. Like, I think this is what's gonna happen." He didn't do the makeup moving faces at the age of 5, so.
Cars making noises. Yeah.
he didn't like makeup when I was younger, so I started playing when I was 5 for soccer, and ever since then I've carried on until now. And then he's always been the one that's like always pushed me. And then it was freshman year when I was like, I think I want to pursue this, like in college. I think this is something I want to do, and that's when I started looking, and I found Butler. So.
If you could live anywhere else, obviously you don't want to stay Get out of the South. It's too hot.
Colorado. I love Colorado. I think Colorado is amazing. It's like perfect weather. It's not too humid. Skiing and stuff is awesome. It's really hilly and like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe there. Their air is so like thin. It's hard for me to breathe. But no, Colorado I think is gorgeous. I would want to live in Colorado, hands down.
All
But
right.
I'm still a Michigan fan. Like my first choice is always to stay in Michigan. I like being by family. I'm like having a hard time here 5 hours away, but yeah, I would love to stay by family. But anywhere, Colorado.
All right, and then if you were on an island, you only had one food. Like you could have endless amounts of it. You could only have one food. What would it be?
Chicken.
Chicken. Just grilled chicken, fried chicken,
Any kind of chicken.
just chicken. Just an
Chick-fil-A,
island of
chicken,
chickens.
Chick-fil-A, chicken, just endless chicken.
All right, well, thanks, Anya. Hope you have a great rest of your first year here at Butler, and just keep doing awesome things for women's soccer.
Thank you so much for this ride. It's fun.
Well, you always learn so much by driving with the dogs. Welcome back to the studio, where it's time for Dog Talk. This is the time to talk about the popular teams on campus right now. I have Jacob Markeski to my right and Colin Perry to my left to discuss with me the men's soccer team. The team got a much-needed win over DePaul this weekend. It was their first Big East win. They were ranked 9th in the country heading into the season and had one of the best recruiting classes in the country. What triggered the slow start to the season, Jacob?
I think when you look at it, it just comes down to an experience, both playing at the collegiate level, at the Big East level, and playing with each other as a team. This team has 9 freshmen. 7 of them have gotten significant playing time so far this year. They're starting a freshman in goal after losing Big East Goalkeeper of the Year to graduation. It was Eric Dick. All of this just leads to some poor decision-making and hesitation that can lead to mistakes that can cost the team the game.
And a lot of it, too, is experience. I mean, it takes a lot to play on the level of the Big East in any sport, but especially men's soccer with so many solid teams in the conference. So it has been disappointing, but I think that the growing pains, maybe a little bit over expectation, the growing pains were going to come, and they definitely have. But now, we've been through the worst part of the schedule. Now the Bulldogs can look to bounce back in the final few games. They have a big rivalry game at Xavier. That's a chance for them to potentially pull off an upset there and get a big win against a rival. Also, a little less pressure now at this point of the year. You don't have to worry about making the NCAA tournament. Just worry about trying to get into the Big East tournament now, trying to grab that 6th place spot. I believe they're only a point back right now. So that's still in hand for them to make at least some postseason play.
Well, unlike the men's side, the women's side has been highly successful this year, putting together a 4-1-1 record in Big East play and a perfect 7-0 record at the South Bowl, where they've been undefeated since October of 2016. What has been the secret to this team's success, Jacob?
It's an effective balance of experience and new blood. You saw that in the game on Sunday in their 2-1 win over DePaul. You got the first goal, the equalizing goal, and a penalty kick from senior Hallie Stelbaski. And then in the second half, the 88th minute, the game winner came from a freshman in Katie Soderstrom, who put the game winner in the net on an assist from another freshman in Anya Savage. So just that senior leadership combined with that new blood leads to a lot of willingness to take risks and a lot of fearlessness. Another thing is that their defense and their goalkeeping has been impeccable. 7 of their 10 wins have been shutouts, and it's just that experience on the backline defense, and then in goal with Hannah Lidke and Leonie Duga.
Yeah, and also their tough schedule. Beginning of the year, going to 3 Big 12 opponents out west to Kansas, Baylor, and TCU. They lost all 3 of those games. But going on the road, getting that road experience really builds for the Big East play. And again, playing tough teams early helps you later in the year. And I think that definitely played out well for the Butler women's soccer team. They've got 2 of their 3 next games are tough. They go to Creighton, and they also play Georgetown, who hasn't lost a game yet. They've tied a few times, but they haven't lost a game. So that'll be definitely their big last regular season game to worry about before the Big East tournament, which I believe they should be safely in by now. A couple other stats that stand out for me for women's soccer: only allowed 3 goals in 6 Big East games, so 3 shutouts, and then also outshooting opponents 209 to 124 this season as a total. It's about an average of 5 shots a game, so just getting so many more offensive opportunities, getting the wins over these still very good Big East programs.
Well, let's switch gears from fall to winter. Let's talk about the men's basketball team now. The season is creeping up with the first exhibition game only 10 days away. The Dogs will be without the number 2 all-time scorer in Butler history, Keelan Martin, this season. They're going to have to find a way to fill that number 1 scoring role. Who do you guys think is going to step up and score when the offense needs it most? Jacob?
There's the obvious choice with Kamar Baldwin. He's going to make another big leap forward this season like he did last year, but I think that was going to happen regardless of who's on the team around him. I think you're going to have to look to Sean McDermott to step up. He's kind of in that same 3-4 category as Keelan Martin was. He's not quite as big as Martin, so he can't throw his weight around inside as much, but he showed flashes last year of being more than just a pure shooter, and I think he's going to be someone the Dogs look to step up. And then Paul Jorgensen, he had a good season, start to the season last year. He had a major slump in the middle of Big East play where he struggled with his jump shot a lot. He can't afford to do that this year, but I think if those two guys step up, they're going to be a major factor in the Bulldogs possibly making their 5th straight NCAA tournament.
I agree with you in those names. Obviously, another player, Aaron Thompson, who came in as a freshman, started 32 of 35 games. He only averaged just over 4 points a game last season, and that's because he didn't really have a jump shot. He had to rely on driving to the basket, getting fouled, hitting free throws, kind of that type of offense. But I think this year, now with Kamar taking a different role, Thompson will have to step up, and I think the team has been working with him with his jump shot. It'll be intriguing to see how well that develops in the season, as it's really hard to develop a jump shot if you didn't have it coming out of high school and developing on the fly in college in the Big East. That should be interesting to see if Thompson can do that. Also, Henry Badley, another player who played kind of an on and off role the last 2 years. He averaged just over, again, 4 points per game last season, but I think might take more of a Keelan role coming into this season, as he kind of has the same playing style as Keelan. We know that he can stand out. He had 20 points against Western Illinois last year, so he has the ability to have big offensive games. And I think with more time on the floor, Henry Badley will be able to, again, play a huge role in this offense, as well as all those perimeter shooters like Sean McDermott and Paul Jorgensen.
Well, Sean, Aaron, Henry, and Paul are all going to be key contributors, so it'll be fun to see what roles they do end up taking this year. Thank you, Colin and Jacob, for joining the show. Our Press Pass reporter Eric Robinson talked with Butler Blue III handlers Michael Kaltenmark and Evan Krause about Tripp's role on campus.
Michael Kaltenmark graduated from Butler in 2002 and now is in charge of the face of the university, Tripp.
Tripp is a dog all his own. I mean, he's got a mind of his own, which is typical of a bulldog, but he's a little extra.
Since Tripp's debut on February 18th, 2012, that outgoing personality has been the one to define Butler athletics.
As far as English bulldogs go, he's a bit of a freak. Most English bulldogs, 20, 30 minutes of activity and they're wiped out for the rest of the day. And this guy can go and go and go. He has an amazing stamina and endurance.
On game days, Tripp arrives right when the gates open, so we can say hello to some of the players before the game.
Tripp loves a few of the players, and we think they do too. So he's got to say hi to Big Cat. He's got to say hi to Uncle Joey.
Then, right before the game, Tripp does one final thing for the crowd. He runs across the Hinkle floor for the famous Rawhide Bone.
After the 5 starting players have been announced, Tripp will run from one end of the court to me, and I'll be holding the bone waiting for him.
Kaltenmark said what he and his team have created here at Butler is something special and can only continue to get stronger.
What we've done here is made a national benchmark and a sustainable program for Butler to carry on maybe in perpetuity.
In almost 6 years as the mascot of the Butler Bulldogs, Tripp has come a long way, seeing a growth that Kaltenmark is very proud of.
He's done fine, and I'm pretty proud of the mascot he's become, and he's still learning, he's still growing, he's still doing a great job.
Tripp turns 7 this December, and he and Kaltenmark will continue to make their mark on Butler's campus, one event at a time. With the Butler Press Pass, I'm Eric Robinson.
Our interview this week is with men's soccer head coach Paul Snape. He's in his 8th season with the Bulldogs and led the team to the NCAA tournament the past 2 seasons. In 2016, Butler won the Big East tournament for the first time in program history. Last year, the Bulldogs were Big East regular season champions behind an 8-1 conference record. Snape and his assistants were also named Big East Coaching Staff of the Year. He had a 60% winning percentage during his time at Butler. Press Pass reporter Josh Doring is with Coach Snape. Josh?
Welcome, Coach. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Last night you traveled to Bloomington. You faced the number 2 ranked Indiana Hoosiers. Lost 3-0, but what can you take away from playing such a tough opponent, and what is it like being part of that rivalry?
Yeah, no, it's a very, it's a wonderful rivalry to be a part of, and it's only a rivalry when you can compete, and we have been competing for these last 7, 8 seasons as well. Unfortunately, last night they beat us 3-0. Between the penalty boxes, pretty even game, to be honest. I thought we caused them a lot of problems that they caused us, but what defined it was they were better in their penalty box and they were better in our penalty box. And so the game is won and lost in those 2 areas as well. So I think what it does is it exposes our players, especially our new players, to see the highest standard of Division I soccer. And in the past few seasons, we've had some wonderful games against them, and we've been able to use them as a barometer to say, hey, this is what we need to do, consistently need to do to become an elite program. And last night they showed again why they're one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country. So as disappointed we are, there's a lot of positives to come back. We're going to watch video and we're going to show the guys, hey, here's the defining moments, why they won the game as well. And if we can learn from them, we're going to be better as a program going forward.
And the game before that, you got your first Big East win, a road victory at DePaul. How important was that game to sort of build momentum and get those first 3 points in conference
I think
play?
it was huge. You know, we had high expectations of the season, but you know, there's your plan. But sometimes it doesn't, like life, sports doesn't go according to the plan as well. So it's been tough as well. But the good thing is the guys are really working hard. They believe, and we went up into DePaul the other day with a with a lot of enthusiasm as well, and we deservedly got the victory, and it was great. And we even said last night before Indiana, hey, we want to win it absolutely every game, but the main focus is right now is qualifying for the Big East tournament, because once you get in the Big East tournament, anything can happen.
And one of the players that made a big impact in that game was Logan Lee, and this is a freshman class that was very highly touted. A lot of them are making a major impact. What has it been like for you as a coach, trying to replace the veteran leadership from last year and relying on so many freshmen early on?
Yeah, listen, it's part of the process in college. Unfortunately, by the time the kids finish their 4 years, they get it, and then they leave. I think college should be 6 to 8 years. I'm sure the parents don't want to hear that. But this was part of the process, and you want to come in. Now, we had really good senior leadership last year as well that allowed us to kind of ride through some adversity as well. And we knew there were some key players not coming back. So we're really excited about this young class. At the same time is they've been exposed to what I call man's soccer as well, men's soccer. Where most of the guys that we play against anywhere from 18 to 24 years of age as well. So there is a difference between an 18-year-old freshman and a 21-year-old man. But I think it's good. You know, short term, we want to win every game. We want to compete. We want to make sure that we're winning the battles out there. But long term, we're going to make sure that we're developing the right mentality with these kids and that we're doing things the right way. And the good news is that we're really close in every single game. To be honest, close is good. You know, if we were outclassed in every single game, there'd be a lot more cause of concern. But we're close, but it's like if you've ever climbed up a mountain, it's easy when you're at the base of the mountain. Everybody can hike up there as well. But as you get right to the top, only the toughest mentally and physically can do it. And right now, we got to kind of climb that last part of the mountain, and it's the most difficult, but I feel we've got the talent, and I think more importantly, I think we've got the mentality that we can do it.
Speaking of that mentality, you've got 4 games left, all against Big East competition with a chance to still make the conference tournament. What is the message and what is the key these final 4 games of the season to try and end on a positive note?
I think you've got to go out there and we know we've got an opportunity. We've got to go out there and absolutely believe individually, but just as importantly, collectively as well. We've got to make sure that we're all there for one another, that we're covering, that we're working, we're running at those extra yards at high intensity for our teammates out there as well, because we do have talent. It's crazy. They do loads of sports studies out there as well, and you know, it's really the mind that controls all the performances as well. We physically, you know, this time of the year, like most teams, we got a few injuries, but it's not catastrophic. So I think the games are won and lost with the mind as well. So we're really focusing on being what we call that positive energy as well, and you know, positive mindset. We're fighters out there. We're there as well, and we've really kind of preached that message. We're going to get the tactics right so our boys can, so our team can succeed as well. And I'm really excited about these next 4 games. Villanova, Seton Hall, Marquette, and Xavier, all winnable games. We know they're going to be tough, but I'm really confident the guys are going to go out there and perform really well.
Well, thanks again for joining us, Coach, and good luck the rest of the season.
Oh, thank you so much, and go Dogs.
Chris and Drew, back to you.
All right, Josh, thank you very much. That's all the time we have for this week. Tune in next week for an interview with assistant men's basketball coach Brandon Crone.
This has been the Press Pass. We have our credentials, and now you have yours.